welcome you to this Bible study of the Banking Blessings Ministry. My name is Goodluck Ofebu, and this is my wife,
Obi Ofebu.
We welcome you to our continuing study on husband-wife interactions. Today we are going to look at the interactions between Samson and Delilah. Samson, in a nutshell, Samson loved a woman that did not love him. He persevered, wanted to win her love at all costs, it seems. The woman was with him only to spy on him, only to get information that will enable her people, the Philistines, to conquer Samson. It appears that Samson knew about this, but believed that he could win the woman over, he could maybe deceive her by telling her a little bit of what she needed to know. And we'll see how it ended eventually. The study is really in two parts, kind of. The first part just deals with the background. We will not spend a lot of time there, but a little bit of background to tell us who Samson was, the purpose for which he was born, and the type of the enmity that existed between him, the strong enmity that existed between him and the Philistines that made the Philistines determined to get him at all costs. Then we'll go into his interaction with Delilah. That is the focus of the study. Honey, I don't know if you have something to say to start the study.
Well, I believe the relationship between Samson and Delilah is one that we are bound to learn a lot from when we look at a husband-wife relationship. Whenever we talk about Samson and Delilah, we kind of see, oftentimes we see the betrayal or the maybe foolishness of a man trying to marry or make a woman to love him, or to see the betrayal of a wife, of a husband by the wife. But I believe that when we look at this relationship between them, we're going to learn something deeper or something more. And I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. So, as I said, we are going to see that Samson was born for a mission and was born into a covenant with God. God made a covenant with him even before he was born, even before he was conceived. And this covenant was symbolized by the fact that he was a Nazarite, that the hair of his head would never be shaved or cut in any form. And he was supposed to be dedicated to serving God. And his primary mission, the mission into which he was born, was to begin delivery of Israel from Philistines. Israel at that time had been ruled by Philistines for 40 years. And God created Samson to begin the process of liberating Israel from the Philistines. Well, as we said, we are going to see that he fell in love with a Philistine woman that didn't really love him, didn't want anything to do with him. But her people convinced her or bought her over to spy on Samson, to try to get information that will enable them neutralize his strength, because he was too strong for them. He defeated them in every previous battle, and everything they've done to try to get to him didn't have any effect at all. And each time he would show them that all the effort they had meant nothing, could not even scratch him. So they wanted to get him, and they hired this woman that he loved. He knew, we will see that he knew right from the beginning that all that the woman wanted was to find his secret so that she could reveal it to the Philistines. But he believed he would win this woman over. Well, as a result, he violated his covenant with God. He revealed his secret to the woman, and the woman shaved his head. And as a result, I say here he died in humiliation. During his last days, he was in servitude. He was basically somebody that made the Philistines laugh at his own expense. But of course, we will see that he reconnected with God in one last incident and killed a lot of the Philistines. So one may say that he did accomplish his mission, maybe in part or maybe not exactly the way that he was created to do it. He did accomplish something, and we will see this. All our information will be coming from Judges chapter 13, verses 1 through 5, and Judges chapter 16. Just another way of talking about what we will learn is that Samson's interaction with Delilah is a very good example on intoxicating love. That a man should be careful about loving a woman, well, when you love a woman and you are trying to win her love, there are a lot of things you need to look out for to see whether this is something worth doing. Because often that's what happens. A man loves a woman and tries to win her love and maybe eventually succeeds. But in this particular case, we will see that there are danger signs that Samson should have recognized and maybe because of that pulled away from that relationship. But maybe it was the will of God. We will see. But we will see that he believed he could give enough to win her love without violating his covenant, without giving away the secrets that God had given him. But he ended up violating his covenant. So let's begin with the background regarding his birth. Samson was at conception, was conceived in a covenant with God. God called on his mother and said, look, we are going to conceive, and told her what the child would do, that this child will begin the delivery of Israel from the Philistines, and that he was going to be dedicated to God. He's going to have special relationship with God. The hair on his head will never be shaved or cut, and that the mother should abstain from wine and unclean food both before and during her pregnancy. The parents, I believe, obeyed their own rules. We didn't see anything about that, but we'll have to take it for granted that they did. But the man obeyed his rules up to the point where he revealed his secret to the woman that he loved. But let us read about the background of his life in Judges chapter 13, verses 1 through 5 and verse 24.
The book of Judges chapter 13, reading from the New King James Version, verse 1. Again the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines for 40 years. Now there was a certain man from Zorah of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and had no children. And the angel of the Lord appeared to the woman and said to her, Indeed, now you are barren and have borne no children, but you shall conceive and bear a son. Now therefore, please be careful not to drink wine or similar drink, and not to eat anything unclean. Verse 5. For behold, you shall conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come upon his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. Verse 24. So the woman bore a son and called his name Samson, and the child grew, and the Lord blessed him.
Yes. So that was the background, and after he was born, it slowly became apparent. Well, as he was growing, it became apparent that he had a great strength, and he was a very good leader against the Philistines. Remember, Israelis were under rulership of the Philistines. They were under the Philistines. So Samson had the reputation as somebody that could stand up to Philistines and had great strength against them. He had some battles with them, a small battle. Both battles came out of a first marriage. His first, he married a Philistine woman from Timnah or something like that. His father actually opposed his getting married to this woman. They wanted him to marry somebody from among his relations. But he still went ahead, and there were a lot of adventures about that marriage. This is the one in which, as they were going once to visit their in-laws, they were challenged by a lion. Well, his parents were moving along and he was behind, and he was challenged by a lion, and he caught it with his bare hands and tore it up. And then the next time he came around, some bees had made honey in the carcass of this lion, and he scooped the honey, ate it, and then when he got to the ceremony where they were, his in-laws, he used it to make a riddle for the people and challenged them to solve the riddle. That if they solved it, he would give them 30 garments or something like that. That is their prize. Will be what they win for solving the riddle will be the attire of 30 men, complete battle attire of 30 men. Well, his wife got the information from him and revealed it to these people. Then when they came, he told them, he said, yeah, okay, you know it. I know the reason you know it. You must have talked to my wife. But in any case, you've won the prize. So he went to a neighboring village, battled the Philistines, killed 30 of them, brought the garments and delivered to these people. So there was another battle in which he killed 1,000, maybe more, a few thousand people, also in relation to his marriage to this girl. We don't want to discuss the details because our focus is really in his interaction with Delilah. But this background is important because what was imagined as Samson was growing, it became clear that not only that he could stand up to the Philistines, but he could defeat them. They were no match to him. And this, we will see, became his, he developed a reputation of somebody that was so strong that the Philistines had nothing they could do to him. So this part of it we are not going to read. Let's just jump to the next section. Again, he because of his strength and leadership skills, he ruled Israel. Well, he was the leader. They didn't really call him a ruler, but he was the leader, the person that led Israel to battles against the Philistines for 20 years during his time. The Philistines were afraid of him. Every time they tried to do something to him, they tried to fight him, he beat them, he defeated them. He had extraordinary strength. There is one account we will read here that shows his extraordinary strength, where he had gone into a house, they waited for him at the gate. It's a gated community. Waiting for him to come out in the morning so that they would kill him. Well, he came out at midnight, pulled the gate and everything, and carried it on his shoulders and went up the hill, essentially to tell them that, hey, all of these things that you set up against me are no match for me. Anytime you come to me, bring your people, bring your army, and I'm ready to destroy you. Let us read about this from Judges chapter 15, verse 20, just one verse there, and then 3 verses from chapter 16.
Okay. Judges chapter 15, verse 20. Samson led Israel for 20 years in the days of the Philistines.
Yeah.
Judges 16, verse 1. One day, Samson went to Gaza where he saw a prostitute. He went in to spend the night with her. The people of Gaza were told Samson is here, so they surrounded the place and lay in wait for him all night at the city gate. They made no move during the night, saying, "At dawn, we will kill him." But Samson lay there only until the middle of the night. Then he got up and took hold of the doors of the city gate, together with the 2 posts, and tore them loose, bar and all. He lifted them to his shoulders and carried them to the top of the hill that faces Hebron.
Yeah. So it was. He was a problem for the Philistines. They wanted something. They looked for everything they could do. They found nothing. Well, it happened that at that time, Samson fell in love with a Philistine woman named Delilah. The evidence in the Bible indicates Delilah did not return his love, did not reciprocate. Delilah was not interested. The Bible doesn't really say that, but a lot of the things that happened show that she really wasn't interested. But Samson wanted her. It's this kind of intoxication when a man falls in love with a woman that he really likes, and the woman is reluctant. That's one of the most intoxicating types of love, because the less the woman shows interest, the more the man wants to. I don't know the reason for that, but we can see it here. That's what happened to Samson. He wanted Delilah by all means, even though the lady really wasn't interested. And there's so many beautiful ladies, women in Israel that he could have gone to. But he wanted this Philistine woman. Well, the Philistine rulers found out what was going on, and they went to Delilah and said, "Hey, look, pretend to like him. Just go in and try to get information from us on how we can neutralize his strength. He's an extraordinarily strong person. There's nothing we can do to him. But you, being a woman he loves, you can find out. And you know what, for this we will pay you." They promised her a large amount of money, that time in shekels or silver. That's how they measured money. She agreed, accepted to spy on Samson. Let us read about this before we proceed. From Judges chapter 16, verses 4 to 5.
In the book of Judges chapter 16, verse 4. Sometime later, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. The rulers of the Philistines went to her and said, "See if you can lure him into showing you the secret of his great strength, and how we can overpower him, so we may tie him up and subdue him. Each one of us will give you 1,100 shekels of silver."
So that was the offer. And Delilah went in with Samson, and I believe they started living together because she had a lot of access to him. But immediately she demanded from Samson the secret of his strength. This is, Samson should have seen immediately that, hey, this lady just wants to know about my strength. And of course, the lady must have sugar-coated it in a certain way, so that even though it was clear what she wanted, the reason why she wanted it probably wasn't clear to Samson. But the important thing is she made a demand. It was clear to Samson that he had to give in to this demand in order to win her love. Right? It was the price for her love. Again, well, we will discuss this later on. But what we'll see here is that her interest was for herself. It was a selfish interest. And not only that, it was everybody has selfish interest. But it's not only that it was selfish interest, but it was one that was against the interest of the man that loved her. And this is one way that a young man these days could evaluate. If you are interested in a woman and you see that her interest is the kind of things she wants, things that if she succeeds in, you are going to have to fail for her to succeed. That her interests are against your interest, or her interests are opposed, or her interests are in a direction that is very different from yours. Then these are some of the things that might indicate to you that maybe this is not the right relationship to go with. In the case of Samson, it was clear the lady was interested in something that would destroy him. I don't know whether he understood this. But all indications we have are that he understood what she wanted, but maybe he didn't understand why she wanted it. But a number of interactions between her and him should have exposed it to him what she really was trying to accomplish, because he wanted to give her, essentially, he believed he could deceive her, maybe play along and slowly win her over. But each time he gave her little information, she invited Philistines to the house to try to overpower him, and he would defeat them. He will prove that what he told her wasn't really related to his strength. So he did this 3 times, but the 4th time he gave in and actually told the lady that his strength was related to his hair, and told her that if the hair was shaved, that he would lose his strength. So he believed he could deceive her. He could tell her enough to win her love, but would not need to tell her enough to lose his strength, to violate his covenant with God. But the lady wore him down. The lady would, in fact, the Bible said it, the lady wore him down by nagging, and it was that nagging that got him the 4th time he fell. Let us read about this, and then you can jump in anytime to talk.
It's very tempting and very interesting to look at, in depth, the thing between Samson and Delilah, because just as Samson had there's a lot of lesson for couples to learn, or whether intending couples or married couple to learn. Samson, I don't know whether we call it love or lust. I think he may have been blinded by lust. The passion, the passion he had for Delilah, the lust must have overpowered his senses. And, it's a very strong pull. So that lust may have, made him to give in to Delilah. Each time Delilah requested, okay, show me the source of your strength. I need to know the source of your strength. And he sees that each time he gave in, the Philistines came to try him with that particular thing, and they didn't succeed. And Delilah, so I don't think love is not, even though there's a popular saying love is blind is not blind. I don't see that. But lust can make a person blind, whether man or woman.
Yeah.
The heat of passion can make people in a relationship do what they're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
So what there's a lesson here for us to learn, that in a relationship between a man and a woman, husband and wife, it goes beyond passion. There'll be a little bit of lust, when you put it that way. You lost after your wife, you lost after your husband, that kind of thing and all that. But not to the extent that it will overpower every other thing that you should see. That shouldn't be the basis of the relationship.
Yeah.
But Samson, this lust was driving him. That's what I see. Not that his love for Delilah made him give in. It's something else. That was driving him. And that is the spirit of lust that was driving him. Delilah obviously was clear what she wanted.
Yeah.
And Samson knew what she wanted. It was clear what she wanted.
Yeah.
And she pretended to return Samson's love. Okay, in this relationship, hoping that would make him to tell her the source of his strength.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a marriage it wasn't a relationship that was healthy. It wasn't a relationship that was established on healthy principles or healthy. It was the basis was not healthy at all. It wasn't. Sometimes, even in this day and age, you might somebody say, that can never happen to me. It may not be somebody looking after this, looking for the source of your strength.
Yeah.
It could be other things.
Yeah.
It could be other things. But the important thing here is that we should base our relationship, intended relationship for marriage, on something more godly, something less than physical.
Yeah.
Because it was Delilah's beauty and it was something physical that was driving Samson's lust. He was lusting after her. Something physical in her. So before we make that kind of commitment, we should not base it on. Sometimes people, I know we're talking Bible, but sometimes say, I want to know how good he is in bed. I want to know how good she is in bed before we can tie the knot. That's not the basis of any marriage.
Yeah.
Because she can be wonderful in bed and he can be wonderful in bed, and every other thing is out there to kill you in that marriage.
Yes.
When eventually you become man and wife. So it's really very interesting. This bit is something that we should really study and make sure that as intending couple, as intending man and woman to marry, that we actually dissect it and see the things that should not be done.
Yes.
And marriage should not be based on.
Yes.
Because once it's done, it's done.
Yes.
It's really very difficult to change.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll read this. One of the things we'll find in the reading is that at some point, Delilah questioned Samson's love for her. Said, how can you say you love me when you don't give me, don't confide in me, when you don't tell me the real secret of your strength? So here, Samson, she was challenging Samson to give up something, to violate, to do something that will violate his covenant with God. So it could be somebody telling you to spend less time in church, or to say, how can you, spend 3 hours every weekend practicing in the choir when I'm here sitting alone, I have nobody, and you say you love me, that kind of thing. So when somebody it tries to put your love for her or for him against something you need to do to advance your worship of God, then this is a telltale sign, something to tell you that, hey, maybe this is not the right relationship. And I think Samson saw this but did not fully understand. Well, they lost the spirit. Yeah, he was blinded, so he couldn't take advantage of the information that was being presented to him, and he had several opportunities to really say, okay, this is it, I'm leaving. You know. Okay, let's proceed with the reading. It's going to be a long stretch of reading, but that will convey most of the information.
Okay, we're reading from the book of Judges chapter 16, verse 6. So Delilah said to Samson, tell me the secret of your great strength and how you can be tied up and subdued. Samson answered her, if anyone ties me with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, I will become as weak as any other man. Then the rulers of the Philistines brought her 7 fresh bowstrings that had not been dried, and she tied him with them. With men hidden in the room, she called to him, Samson, the Philistines are upon you. But he snapped the bowstrings as easily as a piece of string snaps when it comes close to a flame. So the secret of his strength was not discovered. Verse 10. Then Delilah said to Samson, you have made a fool of me, you lied to me. Come now, tell me how you can be tied. He said, if anyone ties me securely with new ropes that have never been used, I'll become as weak as any other man. So Delilah took new ropes and tied him with them. Then with men hidden in the room, she called to him, Samson, the Philistines are upon you. But he snapped the ropes off his arms as if they were threads. Delilah then said to Samson, all this time you have been making a fool of me and lying to me. Tell me how you can be tied. He replied, if you weave the 7 braids of my head into the fabric on the loom and tighten it with a pin, I will become as weak as any other man. So while he was sleeping, Delilah took the 7 braids of his head, wove them into the fabric, and tightened them with the pin. Again she called to him, Samson, the Philistines are upon you. He awoke from his sleep and pulled up the pin and the loom with the fabric. Then she said to him, how can you say, I love you, when you won't confide in me? This is the 3rd time you have made a fool of me, and haven't told me the secret of your great strength. With such nagging, she prodded him day after day until he was sick to death of it. So he told her everything. No razor has ever been used on my head, he said, because I have been a Nazarite, dedicated to God from my mother's womb. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man.
Well, so you see what happened. She persisted. Samson had all the signs, but was blinded to them. And eventually he gave in and told her everything.
Yeah.
So that is, he revealed the secret of his strength, and Delilah took advantage immediately. You know, got him to sleep, and they shaved his head. And when he woke up, he realized that his strength was gone. He was no longer, God had left him because he violated his covenant. It's not the hair by itself, is not what is important. Is that he was supposed to keep that secret, keep it a secret from every person, and in return for love, or to buy love, he gave this secret away. And so he had to choose between worshiping God and loving Delilah, which is a choice that you should, once somebody puts you in a position to make that kind of choice, then you should realize that that relationship is not in your interest. But let us read about his fall from Judges 16 verses 18 to 21.
Yeah. Judges chapter 16 verse 18. When Delilah saw that he had told her everything, she sent word to the rulers of the Philistines, "Come back once more, he has told me everything." So the rulers of the Philistines returned with the silver in their hands. After putting him to sleep on her lap, she called for someone to shave off the 7 braids of his hair, and so began to subdue him, and his strength left him. Then she called, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awoke from his sleep and thought, "I'll go out as before and shake myself free." But he did not know that the Lord had left him. Then the Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, and took him down to Gaza. Binding him with bronze shackles, they set him to grinding grain in the prison. You know, something, I was a bit held back from saying that, but this last reading has proved that point, that it seemed to me that Samson was not, you know, he didn't fully understand the gravity of the consequence of revealing this, you know, the source of his strength.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he felt it was a joke, or he didn't know that it could happen, or he didn't know the consequence, or he didn't take it seriously, or he didn't believe it, because if you see, after they cut off his hair, he thought, the Bible said, he thought as before, that he would get up and shake it off.
Yeah.
He didn't realize that the strength of the Lord had left him.
Yeah.
So, you know, it wasn't something he took a lot for granted.
Yes.
He took a lot for granted. He took the calling upon his life for granted.
Yes.
There's a lot of accounts in the Bible that will show us that, you know, that he felt it was something that nothing could happen to it.
Yeah.
It was there. Remember, there was like the instance of when Judah, you know, the tribe of Judah, you know, said they were tired of the Philistines harassing them because of Samson. And they came to tell Samson that they are going to bind Samson and hand him over to the Philistines.
Yeah.
And Samson said, "All right, as far as you're not going to kill me by yourself, bind me and give to them." You know, every other person will say, "You're one of, you know, I'm one of you, I'm your relation. Why would you hand me over?" You know, rather let's go and fight. But he just felt it was natural, it was something, it was sealed that he will get out of every situation he finds himself and defeat the Philistines. And he said, as far as you don't kill me, bind me and give to me. And they bound him and gave, and he slaughtered the Philistines.
Yes.
So I don't think he understood. He toyed, he played with the calling of God upon his life.
Yes.
And we will see this at the end, that he did realize that.
Yes.
And ask God for another chance.
Yes, yes. And you know, as you were explaining this, it took me to a lesson we did previously. This was about Solomon. When Solomon gradually drifted away from God, what happened was he believed, he was so strong in his belief in God. He was so strong in God that he didn't believe anything could change, could destroy that. This is the same thing with Samson. He was so strong and he believed that God had given him this strength. He didn't really know that there was something he needed to do, that God said, "You observe this," and that is important. You know, he did not see that as important. He counted his hair, take the hair off, and it's not going to change it. I can say that, he couldn't say that. It's not going to change anything. But Solomon drifted away because he was marrying all these wives, and each of them was coming with a foreign worship or something.
And he was told not to marry them.
And then they would demand, "Okay, can you follow me to my worship, or can you help me? How can you say you are my husband when you are not helping me with simple things?" And he saw that, he could do this, he wouldn't take anything away from his belief in God. But gradually, he found himself worshiping those things with the people. This is similar to what happened to Samson. That he really didn't know that there is something he needed to do in order to remain connected with God. There is a part, a covenant, is a promise, a conditional promise. I'll do this for you, but I need you to do this, to always do this. Just like God said, as long as we serve and worship Him, He will be our God.
Yes, it's more, I also feel it's more about the belief that God will fulfill His own part, or that this thing, this condition attached, will be true, or how can, that kind of doubt. Because if he knew that the strength of God would leave him, I believe that there's nothing that would make him to even play with that. If he knew and believed that, he may not, but he may not have believed. And so also it happens with when God places a call upon our lives. God is not joking. He's not joking. When he gives an assignment, we're not to play with it. Or to treat it anyhow that we like, because we either we don't believe, or we feel that God will understand, or it's not something we play with.
Or you become so complacent.
There's no complacence with God. You can't say, I know God finish. After all, He will do this. If they cut it off, and God, after all, He has said He wants to use me to do this, so He's going to find another way to rescue me. Meanwhile, you have played away with our. God will find another source to save the children of Israel, like He did. He will find another person. But you, who has played with that calling, will be the worse off for it. So I think there was recklessness on the part of,
Samson,
there's a lot of things interwoven here. You will see foolishness. Somebody does something to you more than once. Okay, let's say once you didn't know what she was saying. Twice, you were still doubting. 3 times. Until the fourth one. That was foolishness. And then you combine it with recklessness, that he didn't actually believe or know the consequence of him being a Nazarene or a Nazarite. He didn't fully understand that. If you severe that, break that covenant, then the strength of God will leave you.
So, that brings us to the end of this Bible study. We thank you for joining us, and we pray that you learn something from our Bible study series that will make a positive impact on your life and bring you closer to God's purpose for your life. Thank you, and God bless you.
God bless you, and we hope you stay with us next time.